people, it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for part 2 of my favorite books with autistic main characters. It's been over a year and a half since I did part 1, which goes to show how many really good books I've read lately with autistic representation. And second of all, happy Autism Awareness Month. But anyway, with all that said, the first book on this list is called The Gilded Wolves. This book is a YA historical fantasy following 5 main characters, one of which is autistic, and her name is Sophia, and she's my favorite character out of the 5. But anyway, they're all working together to hunt down an ancient artifact. This book is absolutely so fantastic, and it's so well done. First of all, the world building is so excellent, and it's so intricate, and it's so meticulous, and I really enjoyed it. This story is so well done, and it really hooks you from the very beginning to the end. Second of all, the plot is so engaging, and it's absolutely so intriguing. Third of all 5 of the main characters are so well developed and so distinct, and we love to see it. The diversity in this cast is so well done. So anyway, with all that said, the world building, the group dynamic, the characters, the plot, every single element of this story is so well done, and this trilogy is truly unmatched. So anyway, with all that said, I would definitely highly recommend this book. The next book on this list is called Real. This book is a middle-grade contemporary following a young, non-verbal, autistic girl going to public school for the very first time. I feel like the majority of books that I've read about that have really good autistic representation, the majority of autistic representation that I've read features verbal autistic characters, which, don't get me wrong, is really great, but I also love reading about non-verbal autistic characters as well. You know what I mean? Like, the autism spectrum is such a spectrum that it's so diverse, and there's so many different types of people that fall on the autism spectrum. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but basically I appreciate reading about different types of autistic people. For example, in this instance, verbal versus non-verbal. But anyway, with all that said, this book is so good. It is so well done, and it's really awesome. So first of all, the autism representation is so great, and I really appreciate it. Second of all, the plot and the story and the characters were so well done, and it's so lovely. This is one of those books that really tugs on your heartstrings and like hooks onto you and keeps you attached to the story and to the characters from the very beginning to the very end, if that makes any sense. Basically, this book is so awesome, and it's so well done, and I really enjoyed it. So with that, I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called A Kind of Spark. This book is a middle-grade contemporary following a young autistic girl who's campaigning for some memorials for some witch trials that happened ages ago in her small Scottish town. This book is so good, and it's so well done. It was one of my favorites of last year because I really loved it, and I was so emotionally connected and attached to the main character and her story from the very beginning to the end. I love that this book touched on all of like the harder parts of being autistic, you know what I mean? The whole part about like being underestimated and not really being listened to, and I love that the main character had such a wonderful, strong, like family support system behind her, because that is so important, and so many disabled people don't have that, because too many people infantilize us and underestimate us and all sorts of stuff. You know what I mean? So anyway, this book is so excellent, and it's so emotional, and it's literally so well done, and it's so authentic, and we love to see it, and I really enjoyed it because I really appreciated everything that happened. The story, the characters, the friendships, the sister relationships, the plot. Like, this story is so amazing. So anyway, with all that said, I would definitely highly recommend this book. The next book on this list is called At the End of Everything. This book is a YA science fiction story following 3 main characters who live in a juvenile detention center, and basically they were left behind to die during a plague. One of the main characters, Logan, is autistic, and also the 3 main characters aren't the only characters in this story, if that makes any sense. Like, I want to say that there are about like 10 or 15 characters, but the story is told through 3 main voices. I hope that makes sense. But anyway, this story is so well done and it's so awesome. First of all, the three main characters are such wonderful, dynamic, distinct main characters. Like, they're so wonderful and they're absolutely so lovely. Second of all, the plot is so engaging and it's absolutely so intriguing, and I was so emotionally attached and connected to the story and to these characters. Like, this story felt so authentic and so realistic, and it's so timely and necessary to read, especially now during a pandemic when people in like jail and prison and stuff are often forgotten about during a pandemic, if you know what I mean. Anyway, the world building was so well done and the plot was so engaging and so intriguing. This story was absolutely so awesome, and I had really low expectations for this book because the author's previous two books I rated 3 stars, so I wasn't really expecting to absolutely be so connected to this story. Anyway, with all that said, I would definitely highly recommend this story because it's so well done and it's so underrated. So anyway, with all that said, I would definitely highly recommend it. The last book on this list, and certainly not the least, is called Elle Outside the Lines. I just talked about this book in my last recent release video, and it was one of my most anticipated releases for the entire year, and it absolutely lived up to that hype. So I apologize in advance if this book review is really repetitive. But anyway, if you didn't know, this book is a middle-grade contemporary, and it's written by the same author of Anna on Edge, which is why it was one of my most anticipated releases for the entire year. But anyway, this book follows a young, autistic, sapphic, non-binary person navigating new horizons, new expanding horizons, changing friendships in a school trip. It was absolutely so fantastic. First of all the representation, the queer and disability representation, was literally so well done and so well researched and so authentic, and we love to see it. Second of all, the plot was so engaging and it was absolutely so intriguing. Third of all, the characters were so well developed and so distinct. The friendships felt so realistic and so authentic and absolutely so heartwarming and wholesome and so lovely, and I really enjoyed it. This book is so good and it's absolutely so well done. This author is literally so talented, and I will continue to support them in the future because their writing is literally so good and it's so lyrical. This book was absolutely so awesome, and with all of that said, I would definitely highly recommend it. So, in conclusion, first of all, Happy Autism Awareness Month. Second of all, the lack of autism representation is really frustrating and annoying to me, not just as an autistic person, but as a reader in general. Third of all, if you haven't seen part 1 to this video, I will link it in the description box below in case you want some more recommendations. Fourth of all, if you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the bunny emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching, subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!